Welcome to the Soulish Podcast. My name is Whitney Apke, and I am your host. On the Soulish Podcast, we talk about the soul journey as well as the body-soul-spirit connection, and I get to share my experiences and wisdom tidbits, things that are coming up intuitively that I'm sensing, as well as bring on guests who are thought leaders and truth seekers, or just amazing people that do work for people, serve people in some way, share a likeness in heart with me for serving humanity and helping raise awareness and consciousness. And I just am so excited for the guest that I have today, Dr. Seth Storment. He is a chiropractor at the Source Denver here and where I live, and I have had him work on me a couple times, and it's just been really cool to get to know him and his journey. It's so unique. And I've had Dr. Darren on as well, which is really great, and he'll be returning soon in the next couple months or weeks. We'll see. But Dr. Seth Storment is just a really sweet, sweet, gentle spirit. He really has this different essence to him that I keep bringing up because it's so fun to see chiropractors that are trained under the same method, the Kairos training method, as well as they are literally in the same office, yet they both feel so different. And so I wanted to bring on Dr. Seth to talk about his journey of discovering chiropractic care, as well as what comes up for him in his journey as far as being a chiropractor and working on people in this way, because it's so unique. I'm just so fascinated with chiropractic care. So sorry if you're like over it, but I just can't get enough because it's really amazing to me and fascinating the connection between the physical body as well as the energetic spiritual body, as well as then the emotional mental body. It's just so interesting that chiropractic literally connects all three. And because this podcast is literally about that, the body soul spirit connection, it's just kind of been something that I've been experiencing personally in my life, of feeling so wholly connected and experiencing that through chiropractic care, that I've wanted to kind of dive into it more, because it's always been kind of more on the fringe of like healthcare and wellness. And I really want to be a part of the understanding that this should actually be primary. This should be maybe the first place you go to. And something that came up for me too just a couple weeks ago, and I shared it on my Instagram personally. And what's insane is that I actually said it on my podcast episode with Dr. Darren. I mentioned the fact that I had popped out a rib probably 5 or 6-ish years ago. Well, it happened again. And I called and the next day, because I didn't sleep, it was so painful. It actually, I was trying to think, I was like, was I really in this much pain the first time? Or am I really truly in more pain this time? And I don't know what it was or even how I did it. I didn't know how I did it the first time either. And Dr. Darren was kind of like, you know, you can do it by washing your hair in the shower, like sleeping weird, wrong, whatever. It can happen anyway. So it just is just random. And which really was slash disappointing, because I was like, if I could know how to never experience this again, that would be lovely. But instead I got it can happen at random. So what was really amazing was, if I had gone to the emergency room, I would have spent a cool couple hundred, maybe a couple $1,000 to go to the emergency room to have my rib popped back in place, because I guess I subluxated my rib head. I popped out my rib head, which was just the worst. And it was really interesting. What kind of came up for me in that moment was it actually just being in that amount of pain and being alone here in the Denver area, because my brother just moved to Austin. It made me feel so alone. And like I didn't even have anyone to drive me to my chiropractor, right? And instead of spending thousands and hundreds of dollars, possibly thousands, in going to the emergency room, all I paid was $70 to come in, because I'm a member of the Source Chiro in Denver. And so that's all I had to pay. And it's like, and he was able to immediately pop it back in, right? Painlessly, I have to say. It was nothing compared to what I was feeling. And honestly, probably the pain I felt in the adjustment was because I was already in pain. You know what I mean? Um, but immediately I was like, oh my God, I feel like 75, 80% better. And he was like, well, come on the table now because we have more work to do. But it was just so amazing. And literally the next day, I have to say, the next day I was maybe 90% better. I had like no pain. It was more discomfort than anything. Right. But so it's like you can have those moments where you really need to address something. You've popped out a rivet, or you have pain in your body or discomfort, or something's wrong, that's enough that you would seek medical care. Um, Chiropractic goes beyond that into the spiritual energetics. And it was really interesting, those emotions coming up of feeling alone and feeling kind of helpless. Like I was thinking even after the adjustment on the way home, what the fuck would I have done had I not had Dr. Darren and the Source Chiro in Denver? Like, what would I have done if I didn't have them? Because I don't have healthcare. I'm not into Western medicine. And I don't know anybody here, like, except for clients. Like, I'm not going to call a client to drive me somewhere or to, it's just like, what do I do? Like, I have no family. I have maybe one friend here. I don't really know anybody. And it just made me feel really, really, really alone and kind of helpless. And so it was interesting how those emotions were coming up. And I felt like as I got adjusted, because you're in that like fight or flight state, like you're in a lot, and I was in a lot of pain, y'all. Like my throat was sore the next day because I was labored breathing because I was in so much pain and I couldn't get a full breath. Just awful, fucking awful. I hope I never, please, I hope I never experience that ever again. I only need to experience that twice in my life and I'm good. But it was really interesting how just even the adjustment brought peace, not just pain freeness, like less pain, but also this emotional pain that I was feeling of feeling alone. Like I don't have a partner, I'm not dating, right, anyone at the moment. And so I literally don't have anybody to reach out to. And that feeling of lack of security and safety, right, is that for me and most women, I think that's a pretty big deal, probably for most people. Um, but it was really interesting how immediately my emotions were soothed, my mind was soothed. It was like energetically I shifted and I was able to work through those emotions and also express and release. Although I came into the office crying, but I was crying because I was physically hurting. But yeah, like it was such an experience. And I have to say, like, that's been my experience throughout the past almost 6 months now that I've been getting chiropractic care, is that I'm able to allow and let flow and connect with my feelings, my emotions, my energy. And just as an energy healer, energy worker myself, it's been huge for my personal self-care, as I work with clients to help me release and to help me be in alignment and attuned. And, you know, so I think it's huge for everybody, really. But not every chiropractor is the same. And so I love in this episode, Dr. Seth and I talk a lot about, um, finding the right person and not just giving up if you have a bad chiropractic experience, not giving up on chiropractic, but literally going and searching for another chiropractor that is more in alignment for you and what you need and what you want, because every chiropractor is different. And it's been a wild journey the past couple months. I know that we're just getting out of an eclipse. Last Sunday, we had an eclipse. There's been a lot happening energetically, and a lot has been brought up. I know eclipses are really unique in their energy, but I really feel like what's been happening has been a facilitation of things that have been kind of discarded or put aside, right, to be ignored, to not be addressed yet, because maybe in the moment you didn't feel like you needed to address it. I feel like the energies that have been kind of around have been the uprooting of things that have been discarded or put to the side, that it's actually being brought again to the forefront and being giving us an opportunity really to address it. And we're being given that opportunity now. And so I think that this episode is actually really perfectly in sync and in time with where we're at. Now we're kind of out of that week before, week after of an eclipse. We're still in Mercury retrograde, and there's several different things happening. But I really feel like talking about the connection piece and talking about living optimally, right? What is optimal living, and what is that optimal life expression for you? And are you living that way? And I say this in the episode, and I have to say I still feel this way of, I have fluffy lovin's, right? I am not necessarily like physically like I'm super skinny and ripped, and I'm sure I have abs, but I haven't seen them. And like I wouldn't say that by looking at me I'm optimal health, right? By looking at me you would say, "Oh, like maybe her diet isn't up to snuff or whatever," which it is. But you would make your own assumptions about my health, right? But I have to say, with having fluffy lovings, being plus size, whatever you want to call it, um, having more love, uh, I actually am so grateful for the fact that I have health, that I don't have a disease, that I don't have cancer. I don't have any like real limitations, other than I carry more weight. But other than that, my expression is pretty clear, and I don't have really any really huge limitations or hindrances. So for me, optimal life expression looks like, well, I don't want to be heavier than I need to be, right? Like I'm always going to be a thicker girl. I'm never going to be skinny, but I want to have my body be where it needs to be in its thickness, right? To be as healthy and as mobile, right? To have no limitations on mobility or strength or things like that, right? And to feel heavy in your body sucks. But even people who are skinny feel heavy in their body because they eat like shit, but they're skinny, right? It's like there's so many stigmas and stereotypes and different things like that around what is health, right? For a long time, health is being skinny, and for females, feminine, whatever. And the feminine expression is tiny, right? But yet the feminine or the masculine expression is big muscles, right? Tall, huge, that's optimal health, is like the more muscles, the better, right? And it's really interesting that when you look at that, it's like, well, not every body is the same. And some guys are actually quote unquote smaller, right? Or thinner. They're not as muscular. They're not tall. For women, it could be that they're really tall and they're thicker boned. And, it's like everyone has like a different expression. I'm fun size is what I say. I'm fun size. I'm like a little fluffy loving package. But everyone has a different expression. And so I think it's really, really, really important for us to relook at that and to look at it on an individual level. How do you feel in your body, right? What's coming up for you? Where do you feel like you could improve? Where do you feel like you could have more expression of life and peace and joy and love and energy and fluidity, connection in your life? Because that's ultimately what we're looking for. And where our conversation lands in this episode is basically talking about that it truly is about intention and connection. It's truly about being connected with your spirit, because your spirit goes on from here, right? If you believe in reincarnation, or you believe in heaven, hell, whatever you believe, regardless, the truth is that our spirit lives on, right? Our spirit goes from here, and we journey on, however that journey you believe is. And so the important thing is connecting with that. And our physical body is one way that we connect. It's kind of our vehicle, that we're experiencing this type of life in. And so it's so important for us to be able to connect with our spirit, the thing that is truly our essence, is truly us, to connect with our spirit and to be able to do that without any hindrance or limitation, without disconnecting from it, right? And living from more of an empowered state than a disempowered state. And so I think that's really important, living from more empowerment than disempowerment, right? Being responsible for your life, being responsible for what it is that happens to you, that you experience, right? What you say yes to, what you say no to, rather than coming from a place of feeling like you're a victim to life, you're a victim to circumstance and situations, you're a victim to others, right? It's taking responsibility and empowering yourself, stepping into really your power that you already have, instead of discrediting that which you have naturally within yourself, right? All of us are worthy of experiencing that in this life. And I think that's what I'm passionate about. And I know what Dr. Seth is passionate about, because that's ultimately what this life is to teach us to do, right? There's so many experiences and so many things that we experience in this life that can cause us to really feel like disconnected or purposeless or visionless, and we can kind of lose our way. But the journey is rediscovering ourselves, right? And I feel like we're always technically doing that. We're always rediscovering ourselves. We're always kind of coming back to what is our essence, what is our nature, what is our purpose, what is our passion, what is our dream, and we're always discovering that, which is really, really cool. So I hope that you enjoy this episode. I feel like with everything that's been happening, I ended up taking a break for 2 weeks off the pod, and I'm really excited to get back into it with Dr. Seth Storment from the Source Chiro in Denver. So I hope you enjoy this episode. It's really inspiring. You'll see why I love Dr. Seth and the work that he does. You're gonna fall in love with him. He's an amazing, amazing, amazing chiropractor. And just the few adjustments that I've ever had with him, it's been so different, so unique, and it's supported me in such a unique way. And so if you live in the Denver area or Colorado and you're looking for an amazing chiropractor, Dr. Seth is the one. So I will have in the show notes his Instagram handle, because you can either DM him directly to set up an appointment to kind of see, get an exam, see where you are and what you need help with, where you need support from him. And you can also go to the Source Chiro in Denver's website and also go from there, or call the number. So I'll have all those options for you. He also has a really cool clothing line, which is helps bring awareness to the chiropractic. It has really amazing vibes, and it's really awesome streetwear called Innate Society. So I'll also have a link to that too, because it's cool, to have like clothes that have good vibes, and to wear that and to represent is really cool, and to help bring awareness of this, because I think that this is really where we're going to be heading. Is chiropractic is going to blow up even more than what it is, because people are discovering it, and they're discovering the benefits of long-term chiropractic care. And long-term chiropractic care is just, I feel like it's the way to go. It's where long-lasting change happens and continual support happens. So I'll have all of that for you guys, and I hope you enjoy this episode with Dr. Seth. Hello, Soulish Tribe. So I know that I'm not alone and always feeling thirsty. Even though I hydrate throughout the day, I'm always feeling that I need more water, especially after those cycling classes. My friends James and Mark over at Zaka have the perfect solution. Zaka's Hydration and Liverade is the #1 recovery and hydration solution for working out, jet lag, or drinking maybe just a little too much. Zaka uses herbs such as Japanese raisin, as well as other natural and fermented ingredients that are safe and without artificial flavors. Zaka is unique because it doesn't just replenish what your body needs, but also supports your body's natural ability to recover. It's 2 very, very yummy and berry chewable tablets that you can put under your tongue or chew up and swallow. Go to Zaka.com, that's ZACA.com, and use promo code SOULISH15 to get 15% off of your order. If you're needing healing and an integration of that healing, I've just released a healing package that is just for that purpose. My healing package allows you to truly invest in your healing with 4 2-hour sessions that will support you to reveal, heal, and integrate. Whether you're going through a difficult time or simply want to dig deeper, this package is here for you and with a 50% discount. I truly care that my clients not only experience healing, connection, and freedom during our sessions, but in their everyday lives as well. And this is a typical issue that I see with people that just book one session, is that they miss that integration piece that is so important. Go to whitneyapke.com/book to invest in your healing now. Dr. Seth, thank you so much for coming to the Soulish podcast. It is so cool to have you here. I have been really, really, really excited for this interview because you're one of the chiropractors that I also see in the Source Denver, and you have such a different essence and the way that you work and the way that you connect with people while you're doing your job is just amazing and so unique. And so I'm really excited to bring you on and to introduce you to people. So thank you so much for being here.
Very welcome. I'm excited to be here as well. I'm hyped that this is my first interview podcast experience. So excited to see what we get into.
Yes, it's going to be good.
Yes.
For those who don't know about you, I want to kind of go through your bio a little bit because it's really interesting and it's going to lead into our conversation. You're actually a graduate from the Doctor of Chiropractic program at Life University in Marietta, Georgia. And you also dedicate your life and really your work to giving, loving, and serving the community with chiropractic care and adjustments, which are amazing. I can vouch. And I just love that you kind of have like a really cool past. Both actually, I think actually all three of you guys at the Source Denver have kind of a athletic background, but you were a collegiate football player. And that was kind of your beginning journey of realizing what it is to have dedicate your time to skill development and also just really training and having that discipline for chiropractic care, which is really cool. So early on, you also realized the bigness and power behind the chiropractic adjustment, which I would love to talk about, which supports people on an individual basis. It's so unique to individuals and what they're kind of expressing and needing to move and shift and stuff. And so I love that. And I love that your focus is that people have optimal life expression. And that's something with the Kairos method, training method that I love too. And just even you guys at the office in Source Denver, because I definitely have just I think I started in February. So it's been a few months and I feel a difference where it's like, I'm never not going to be there. Like I'm coming like every 2 weeks maybe, and like at least, because it's just so good.
Yes.
Oh, so cool. So,
Perfect.
also what's really awesome that I found out something I didn't know about you is that you have a clothing line, which actually
Yes.
brings awareness to chiropractic care called Innate Society. So we'll link that in the show notes so people can go check that out because it's really
Perfect.
cool, like streetwear, that has all the good vibes. So that's
Yes.
really cool. And you
For
started
sure.
that back in 2018, right?
Yep. While I was in school, actually. So
So cool. So
heck yeah.
cool.
For sure.
So man, I think what would be really cool is getting into your journey of chiropractic care because I mean, gosh, I went to ministry school, so it was very different, but
Yes.
I didn't even know really about chiropractic care until like mid 20s,
Mm-hmm.
which was about 10-ish years ago.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's just been this like really interesting movement of people realizing the beauty and the gift that chiropractic care is. How did you discover it in college?
Um, well, it actually started before college.
Oh,
And
it
so
did.
I remember, I think I was in maybe like third, fourth, probably fifth elementary school. And it was in Northern California at the time. And my brother was a wrestler and he got hurt. So my first exposure to it was this old retired chiropractor that was in town. This is a small town of Fort Jones. And I remember just going into like his house with my mom and my brother, and I was just kind of like watching and things. And so that was like the first taste of it. And then, growing up more holistic, where we didn't go straight to the doctor if we were sick. Sometimes maybe NyQuil or something like that, but it was just sleep it off, it'd be okay. And then if it got worse, then of course that's what that's there for. But and so always having that mindset. And then around I would say I lived with my mom and stepped out for till about 8th grade. Then when I moved in up to Wisconsin with my dad has always been the chiropractor. He's always been a believer in all of those,
Oh, wow.
that side of natural health and healing that way. And so when I moved with my dad, we just started going to the chiropractor because he went regularly, and anything that came up, we would go to the chiropractor. And then all through high school, I had a standing appointment, so I just did study hall and go to the chiropractor Friday before football games in high school. And then it came to the point where, thinking about the future and things, and I always knew I was good with my hands, and I always had a service heart, and I just always wanted to help people and things. And so going to the chiropractor, seeing how people left the chiropractic office, how I felt when I left the office. And a piece of it was seeing the car that he drove, and it always seemed like he was on vacation too. So I was like, as a high school kid, I was like, this seems pretty good, and starting with, just the fact that, you can connect with people. And I've always felt to be a people person, and just a fun way to interact with people and help them live a better life. And at that moment, I didn't really realize all of those things. And so that kind of started the journey through. And I went to undergrad knowing I was going to go to chiropractic school. So I did the pre-health tract, which was not that fun. But and then, yeah, I don't know how far at this point. You want me to just keep going and
Oh yeah.
go
Like,
into it?
so did you went into college specifically for chiropractic? Like you just
Yeah.
knew from
Yeah.
high school, like it's official. I'm gonna be a
Yes.
chiropractor.
For sure. Yeah. And I
Wow.
just for the sheer fact that, like, I knew I mean, even all the way through my undergrad and football through that as well. And football was a tool to, help pay for school,
Mhm.
my undergrad experience. And so that was fun. And if I was to do it over, I would probably do it differently, but just because football beats you up. But I still had a lot
Mhm.
of fun doing that.
I think what's really
Yeah.
cool about your journey is that you had such early on exposure
Oh
to
yeah.
chiropractic care.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is I don't think I ever knew about chiropractic care until, like I said, like mid 20s. Like I don't even think I ever knew it ever existed.
Yeah.
And my dad had like a really serious back injury. He actually blew out his lower disc in
Wow.
a car accident. He was the passenger, and he ended up blowing his lower disc from a 30-mile-per-hour car accident. But they were looking at a really cool car. So like both of them, the driver and him, were like
And
looking,
there.
and it was
Yeah.
these teenagers that were driving drunk and illegally, 13,
Oh,
15 years old. And they just all of a sudden slammed on the brakes. So the driver wasn't expecting it. They thought they could
yeah.
quickly look at some really cool, like probably Chevys and
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
really good like Mach 1s or something.
For sure.
um,
Always. Always.
and basically that's how that happens. So it's funny because with Western medicine, it's just so different because it was like surgery's your only option, which maybe it was for my dad. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's it's a titanium rod, steel cage, and there's not really much movement. And
No.
that's the one thing with chiropractic care that I've just noticed even in my own body, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, energetically, every time I get adjusted, there's a huge, I feel the flow. Like if there was any kind of hindrance or maybe even a blockage, it's like immediate, that immediate feeling of flow of like,
Yeah.
just we're good. We're
Yeah.
connected.
Absolutely.
Um, so I think that's really interesting with that's kind of the main difference with medicine. I feel like Western medicine, it's always to kind of impede flow. Like pain medicine is to turn off your receptors to pain. Doesn't mean your body's not feeling it. Just
Yeah.
means that you're not aware of it because your receptors are numb.
Yeah.
right? So it's just
Yeah,
totally a different way of looking at how to bring healing into the body.
absolutely. And I think, Western medicine has a time and a place. And I think that just to jump straight to shutting off signals, band-aiding things, and I know that you want to get into optimal health at some point too, but that's not optimal. You're shutting things down. Like there's a reason we were built the way we were built. And for us to think that we're smarter than that and start removing things and cutting things and turning things off and thinking, yeah, in the moment you're going to have less pain, but over time you're turning things off, then maybe we don't have the full understanding of what happens when we turn it off.
Right.
And just the sheer, jumping straight to Western medicine and doing those things, it's like, you can do that if that's, what you believe and that's what you want to do. But there should always be another option. There should be another opinion. There should be, and it's not like you can pay a fraction of the cost to go see a chiropractor. And if that doesn't help, maybe try one more chiropractor, or just don't give up on it and go straight under the knife, because that introduces a whole host of other things that, potentially could go wrong, that, finding the right chiropractor for you and what you're experiencing and your philosophy and all of that, I think is vitally important. And I think conversations like this and, spreading the word about chiropractic just is immensely important for the sheer fact that people need another option that's less invasive, that's, more honoring to the system in your body. And yeah.
Is it possible, do you think, like an injury like what my dad experienced, where it's like, your disc just burst?
Yeah.
Is it possible for our bodies to even regenerate that?
I don't rule anything out, because I don't know if you and your listeners have ever heard of Joe Dispenza,
Hmm.
but yeah. And his whole story of like becoming who Joe Dispenza is today
Yeah.
is pretty dang incredible.
Hmm.
And so when I think about things, I'm like, anything is possible. I mean, the way that man rebuilt his spine with his mind and was walking 6 weeks later when they told him that he was never going to walk again. If you haven't heard this, look it up, watch it. It's an incredible story. And you will have the same thoughts and things about, what's possible with the mind and the quantum and things like that.
Yep.
And so it's different for everybody. If everybody, my stepdad, he's experiencing some medical things with his foot, to where it's been a behavioral issue that has developed over 30 plus years of behavioral and lifestyle choices. And so those things, I feel you have to be extremely ready and able and focused to even begin that process of healing. And
Hmm.
so there's times when, if someone's not willing to do that, then yeah, Western medicine comes in and does their thing with that. But if somebody is willing to sit down and believe, first off, that something like that is even possible, and then to have the tools to be able to bring that healing into their system and into their, consciousness to,
Yep.
and I think that anything is possible like that. And I think that chiropractic care, one, and we'll talk more about this, I'm sure, but miracles can happen when there's more peace and ease in the system. And how many people have, you don't come up with new ideas when you're in the rat race and you're stressed out. And
Yeah.
you can't heal. We say this all the time, you can't heal when you're being chased by something, right? And so
Hmm.
it's your system does different things. It's built to upregulate, downregulate, and things like that. And so bringing peace and ease, in space, a lot of times everything is so compressed these days. Everybody's system is so locked down and compressed, and all we're doing is sitting like this in cars and desks, whatever it is. And everybody just needs to take a big
Hmm.
breath and open up and, really express your heart space. And I think that when things like that happen, anything is possible, to be honest.
Yeah.
And, for me to sit here and say that chiropractic is going to regenerate discs, I can't say that. But,
Right.
it's what you believe, it's what I believe. And I believe that chiropractic brings more space, peace, and ease to somebody's nervous system. And so with that, anything is possible.
Really, like the best answer to that is it matters what the individual believes,
Big
because
time.
anything is possible
Yeah,
if that person believes it. But chiropractic care can support that in a way that
absolutely.
maybe Western medicine couldn't necessarily support that, because it forces things to happen rather than
Hmm.
allowing the body to support itself. Because in
Absolutely.
that like fight or flight, man, I feel like I've done better. That's one of the reasons why I'm like all for chiropractic care and I'm not leaving, because I have that fight or flight response so easy, and I feel like I can quickly go into go mode, instead of coming from that place of peace and ease. So
Absolutely.
it's much easier to support my body in that, and and I feel like my body responds differently since getting adjusted regularly, for sure. Like I don't
Absolutely.
flush, I don't have that. Like the I don't know if it's like the jitters feeling, like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
like you get the feeling in your knees where
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
getting chased by something. I
Yeah.
hate
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
sad that you can get that from an email, or a
Because we
text.
build it up in it. Yeah. I mean, that's our saber-toothed cat nowadays, like
Yeah.
so that's our
Your bank
primal.
account.
Yeah, for
Your
sure.
Cardano investment or Bitcoin investment, which is tanking currently.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's crazy that like that is our massive I don't know, T-Rex or whatever it is that's coming after us.
Hmm.
And so it's really interesting how our body has the same response to something that is not as deadly, but we make it as deadly because it's our world, and it's we're only living in it. But
Hmm.
I think that leads me to asking you, one of the things in your bio that I loved was that the focus is for the individual journey to come to a place of optimal expression of life. And I was like, aren't we all like wanting to do that? And so
Yeah.
for you, what is that? How do you define that for yourself, for your clients?
Yeah. I would I would say, and I think you mentioned it earlier too, optimal health is different for everybody. I have a friend, his whole motto is chasing the perfect day. And, an optimal for health for him is as like a mega, endurance athlete is different than you, excuse me, is different than you or I. And, I think that I think just on a blanket and for everyone level, optimal health and healing and just optimal health, I guess, is being free and clear through your nervous system and being able to communicate with that universal intelligence that heals the cut, that keeps your heart beating, that keeps your body functioning, doing the trillion different things that it does on a moment's basis.
Yeah.
When we have interference in those functions based on thoughts, toxins, or traumas that we have in our life, that's the subluxation, can be whatever, any number of those three things. I think when we clear those things, however your strategy is to clear it, chiropractic is an amazing one, obviously. And there's other modalities out there that help people to be more adaptable and integrate what happens and floods their life. But I think that a piece of is optimal health is being able to adapt to the things that you can't control, and with peace and ease and grace, and without spiking. I mean, and spiking, your stress levels and your sympathetic, like that's a natural and that should happen and it's supposed to happen, but be able to spike, take care of what you need to at that place, and be able to settle back down into rest, digest, the parasympathetic mode where you can chill and make more clear, conscious choices. I think that's a big piece of it.
Oh,
Um,
that's huge.
yeah, and so yeah, it's individual, but at the same time, it's being able to allow your brain and your central nervous system to communicate clearly with the rest of your body, so that way everything is functioning the way that it was built to function. And so um yeah, I think that's a quick and dirty way of saying optimal health is where we all should strive to be.
Yeah.
And I think it's like that ever ending chase of perfection as well. Like we don't really know what optimal is, but we can strive for it and land somewhere in between
Hmm.
and be
Yeah,
better
it's
for it.
always a journey, which I love because like that's something just as a woman, like our bodies change all the time.
Right.
Like all the time.
Yeah.
And so to find optimal just in like each month
Yeah.
is a
Yeah. Yeah.
journey.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so it's I know like I actually feel this a lot when I wake up and I feel just such gratitude for the fact that I just don't even have a disease, you know? And I wouldn't consider myself super healthy. I mean, my brother is like, you know, he's like boom and an athlete and like
Yeah. Yeah.
muscles everywhere and I
Yeah.
got fluffy lovin's. But like I'm so happy that like
Yeah.
I don't have a disease, I don't have cancer.
Yeah.
You know, my hormones are regular. Like those things where there's just such gratitude for the fact that like so many people don't have that. They
Absolutely.
don't have that level of health and wellness. Even every month, especially for women and our hormones and everything.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think you're right. Like optimal health looks differently for everyone, and it's always expressing itself, right? It's always we're always striving for more, and I think that's really what we should be doing, and you know, in general. But
Yeah.
for somebody who struggles with disease or struggles with you know something of a physical issue or something like that where they're not experiencing that optimal life expression.
Yeah.
um, do you often feel like we it's easy for us to go into the victim mentality and that can oftentimes stop us from trying for healing because we feel like we're just a victim to everything and this is what it is and this is what it's going to be? Do you
Yeah.
find that with your clients?
Um, I do, and I can't really say that that's a pattern that I see, but there is times where it does feel like that. People get stuck in their own head and their own diagnosis of, oh no, this is it. And that's the biggest thing. And problem that I have with a diagnosis is somebody could be happy, healthy, healing, and then they get a diagnosis of something. And then they have a choice to take the victimhood. It's like, oh, this is me. Or to take, this is me. I have a blown disc. I have this, and this, and this is the only option. Or be open-minded and less dogmatic to the fact of like there could be more. There's something else that is, what am I supposed to learn from this? What can I change? What can I move towards? And I wanted to bring this in too. One of my best friends, mentors, he's Dr. Tom Leliv. He's out in Atlanta right now, but he posted a thing that was like, people don't understand and don't know how good their body is meant to feel. And
Yeah.
so, and he's also a chiropractor. And the way he just
Yep.
said that, it always sticks out to me. And I always bring that up. And I was talking with my partner last night about it. And it's, people don't understand that. And I think that that's a big piece of what's lacking in the education of the general population of like, we don't have to feel that way. Like that's not normal.
Hmm.
And so, and that can be that victim mentality. That can be, not believing that there is something more, that's not normal, and I can move towards more optimal health and healing and expression of life. And so people, I think, just get stuck in this loop and pattern, like we all can. And I feel that's my job as a chiropractor, is to come in and, break up that pattern. And then you introduce something new, whether it's
Hmm.
one adjustment, whether it's, 24 or whatever it looks like that's continually interrupting this pattern that people are just running in this loop. And so then people have a choice, because I've seen it where people get adjusted one time and I never see them again because they've
Right.
never been seen, and all of a sudden their system is, and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to integrate that. Now everything's changed and they're not ready to step up into this level. And that goes into a lot of different conversations and different
Lots of
things.
different
But
things.
if you're not ready to step up into this new space of optimal health and healing and perception and high level awareness, then you're just going to come back down here. And it's not, that's not,
Hmm.
you know,
That's not
um,
optimal.
no, definitely not. And
Not
so,
optimal.
so I would say that happens. And and I know that you experience this, like when people are seen for, we're sacred mirrors, right? And like, how clean is my mirror, and how clearly can I portray someone else's reflection to see themselves on a deeper level. Some people can see that, some people just block it out and they're like, this is for my pain and I just want to be adjusted and see you later, it's helping me feel better. Some people don't know, there's an in between, and they're like, oh, that's scary, and then see ya. And then maybe they come back, maybe they don't. But I think that's a big piece of, being stuck in a pattern of, especially victim, and not believing that there's something more than what you've been given and what you've been diagnosed with.
Right.
A lot of times it's just the base, and it's an educated guess based on what we know in the current moment. And
That's really big.
that's,
Like, I
it's
feel like we
limited.
almost need to say that again. A diagnosis is an educated guess. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
it's true. Doesn't mean
No.
it's the only diagnosis either,
No,
right?
and I mean, they might be pretty spot on, but that's based on, like I just said, the information that we know it to this point. Like there's so much more. There's so many unexplainable things too, that just like, to not believe that there is a quantum and something bigger than us that's floating around. Like the feeling that you get even through a screen, or like that you get when you interact with somebody, like, where does that come from? That's not, you can't explain that. I'm sure
Right.
somebody can, but it's like, there's more to it, and that's usually what we tell people, is like, there's this and then there's more.
Hmm. Well, it's
you
like
know
it's a really it's really comes down to feeling empowered or disempowered.
Done.
And I feel like society, culture, like I haven't watched the news, Dr. Seth, and I don't even know how long, and I have no
No,
desire to
no,
because
no, because
because
at my
it's
mom's house
so
like years ago.
it's so disempowering. Just
Big
I
time.
feel like so many things, and even like this is what you need. Now you need this, now you need that. Even just buying things. It's like it
Yeah.
comes from that place of need, not
Hmm.
necessarily even want, I think.
Yeah.
And ads and marketing are all around what you need and your pain point, but like just even food, even what we consume, everything, just everything either comes from an empowered state or disempowered. So when you're constantly living in this victim or disempowered state and
And
someone tells you that you are empowered, it actually calls out your ability to take responsibility.
big time.
Whereas if you remain disempowered and a victim, you can blame everything else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think part of chiropractic care is also realizing like you can actually take responsibility and you have power over your own body and
For
over
sure.
how you feel and your
Yeah.
journey.
Hmm.
And so it's really interesting when people are like, no, like I'd
Yeah.
rather not take responsibility.
Yeah. And those people, like, they start to feel better, and then they're out. And I think,
Yeah.
and there's chiropractors for that, and that's the beauty of chiropractic, is that it works, and there's a little bit for everybody. And the chiropractic that I see, and that I have seen the best results, and from mentors and from other people that I've seen in this same philosophy, is it's a deeper level of connection. It's a deeper level of empowering. I'm not a healer. I'm not here to fix anything. I'm here to facilitate more peace and ease in your central nervous system, to allow your body to heal from above down, inside out. And
Right.
that's a huge thing in chiropractic, is allowing your body. And that's vitalistic. We're self-healing, self-regulating organisms that we experience our environment, and we heal from the inside out.
Yeah, we adapt.
Adapt big time. And chiropractic is one of the best things to increase your adaptability to whatever life throws at you.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know if you have shit adaptability, you cut your arm, it's not going to heal very fast. But if you have high adaptability, your body, that's a stress, it's a trauma to your system. It's going to allow it to do what it's supposed to do to heal the cut on your arm.
Right.
Simple as
Yeah.
that.
So good. So good. And so with that too, with that optimal expression and stepping into your power and um really coming from a place of response rather than reactive, which is
Hmm.
like that fight or flight.
Yeah.
Um, what are some other things that you've seen in your clients, like as they've continued to work with you? What are some other things that start happening? Like if someone comes in with kind of like an injury
Yeah.
or something that they are aware of that they need to fix, but they maybe experience other things. What are some other things that you can experience with
Yeah.
a long-term chiropractic care?
Of course. Yeah. That's a great question. And um,
I know
one
it's
of
different for everyone, but
Yeah,
yeah.
no, of course. I mean, but there are some themes that we're all the same human, and so but we're all built a little bit different. But a mentor of mine, Dr. Marvin Tulsky, he's been in chiropractic like 50 some years, which is crazy. Chiropractic is only like 125 years old, and he's been in it for half of it. That he talks about, you meet people where they're at, and you give them a little bit more.
Mm,
If I met the non-spiritual quantum non-quantum person and I just dumped all of that stuff on them, see you later, right? And so that's the piece of listening and understanding and feeling the vibe of somebody, because you can meet them where they're at. If someone just thinks that they're going to get their pain fixed, okay, you start there. All right, let's help you this, and then continue to show you what's more. And the piece of what's more is, yeah, you'll start to experience, it's not guaranteed, but you'll start to experience something different, whether it is less pain, whether you're starting to move, you can squat more, you're stronger. Those are all the physical aspects of things. And now, and a lot of people that I've seen, they'll come in with low back pain, and now they can eat things that they weren't able to eat before. And they're less bloated, less gassy. They don't have to go to the bathroom as much after they eat and things like that. Their digestion starts to come back online and function the way it's supposed to.
yep.
That's a big one. um, uh Sleep is a big one. There's people that, because one, that there's multifaceted pieces of that. More peace and ease in the upper cervical region allows your sleep wake cycle to function better, so that you can fall asleep faster, stay asleep. And if you happen to wake up in the middle of the night, you fall asleep quicker, right? You don't
Mhm.
stay awake, because a big piece of that is you're able to regulate your autonomic nervous system, go from sympathetic during the day, whenever you need to, be able to drop down, and then when the evening comes, you don't have that monkey brain that everybody talks about, right?
Yep.
And then another big piece is, I've had people that haven't had their period in months, if not longer, and now they're starting to have their period, and they were worried that they weren't going to be able to have another kid, and now that they're able to experience their menstrual cycle, that they're able to potentially conceive at some point, or at least have that option, and know that they can if they want to.
Hmm.
And that's a huge one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to touch on what you said too, is like people with less anxiety, like they are more adaptable to situations that used to be stressful to them, and now they walk into that same room and they feel they don't have that spike in heart rate, and they're less stressed, they're more focused, they have more energy in that moment. And that's huge. That's life expression. You can show up
Hmm.
more expressively you, and that's huge. That's
Yeah.
nothing I
More
did.
authenticity.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't worrying about or focusing on, yeah, physically your pain and things like that, but you're just now functioning at a higher level, to where you're able to do the things that you want to do without this background noise of whatever is going on in your current experience. And so
Hmm.
I think, yeah, that's a piece of why I love what I get to do, is facilitate that for people,
Hmm.
because helping people show up how they want to, and how they know that they can, but something was just not right.
Right.
So
Yeah. So
those are some
huge.
things.
So huge because
Yeah.
I think none of us want to feel like imposters in our own life, and like we can't fully be expressive and then or understood or even seen.
Yeah.
I think everyone wants that. Everyone wants to be able to be their most authentic self with no hindrances or limitations, and to be seen and to be understood is also really huge.
Yeah.
Um, I love that. And I felt that even I've been adjusted by you like 3, 4 times, and I've talked with you about this of just like even the difference in energy. There's a really calming, peaceful energy when you just first lay your hand, you guys always lay your hand like on the middle of the back, like shoulder blade-ish area.
Yeah.
And I always know I'm like, they're tuning in, you know?
Yeah,
It's like
absolutely. Yeah.
turning
Yeah.
into the body, because you can actually, as a chiropractor, you can actually feel that person's energetic body, right? Like of kind of
Absolutely.
even chakra system of like where that is, because that then
hmm
is reflected in the body, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How did you learn how to tune into that?
Um, Great question. Because that's not every chiropractor that you'll see is not like that.
Right.
And
That's why
and
I go to you guys.
absolutely. I mean, and there's people that take that piece of things and they run away this way with it. And then there's other ones that are like, they tape you and they cup you and they dry needle you and things like that. All right, see you later. And so there's this happy, I feel, medium. And I think a big part of that, and I owe credit to Kairos training culture, KTC, that's the training culture that's global now. Dr. Brett Jones started it, and he brought things that he learned from his mentors and help student and currently helping students, so, cut the corners of learning and being able to piece all of this together. And so, yes, you can step into the mechanical, like this isn't moving right. Let's bring this more motion, more quality of motion. But also, he's very good at teaching the energetic aspect of it and learning from other greats through BGI, which is biogeometric integration. And that was developed and founded by Dr. Sue Brown. And it's this mapping of the system through our body. You have the anterior body and the posterior body. And so learning all of that, but everybody has that skill. Everybody has that within them. And then just not everybody taps into it and, or,
Mhm.
is willing to. And so, or exposed to it and knows that they have that,
Right.
they might be like, that was weird that I just saw that color basically, or, that
Mhm.
kind of stuff, those clairvoyant type of things.
Mhm.
And I think that having KTC really brought the awareness of what was possible and is limitless. And so that expanded my horizon to then go search out, BGI, then search out network spinal analysis, and learning how those greats tapped into that and train that and practice that. And I think a big piece of that is knowing that it's there and learning the skills of what to pay attention to. But then it's another thing of putting your hands on people and experiencing that and fine tuning. And this is a big piece of this, is trusting that it's not educated. That first thought flash is something of a higher power, not questioning that. And I think now that I've been in practice almost 3 years, where I'm seeing people more regularly, to where I'm not questioning that as much anymore. There's a reason my hand landed here. There's a reason why there's energy in this place versus this place. Okay, let's explore. I'm not, because as soon as you start to question that, your educated comes in and you start to question things. Every time that I've questioned, is this the right spot? It's not the right spot. It's like, or I go somewhere else based on that. It doesn't go as well as if I was just to think about and trust this moment. There's a reason that this is here. And so I think a big piece of that is the training to trust yourself. And that can go into a million different things as well.
Mhm.
It's like,
Mhm.
and trusting that there's a higher power guiding you as well.
Mhm.
Um, but as far as my awareness and things, that's where that came from.
Wow. That's so
Yeah.
cool. I
Yeah.
think what I loved that you said the most out of that was that we all have that ability, that it's not just limited to certain people, but we actually all have the ability to tune in not only to our own body, but even to other people's. And I think that's like kind of what really honestly is that feeling like you were talking about earlier of like you can be on Zoom with somebody and feel connected somehow. And you're like,
Yeah.
like, how do I feel like we're technically in a room together, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not
Absolutely.
from different places in
Yeah.
Denver.
Right.
And
Right.
you feel that connection because there's energy. Energy is real. And so since we're energetic beings first, like that's technically what lives on. This body's temporary if we believe in reincarnation, which sort of. I'm like, I don't know, I'll know later.
Yeah, I
I'll
guess
know
we'll
when
find out. Yeah, right.
I leave.
Like,
But like, we can consider it.
yeah,
But like,
yeah.
I think it's really cool to think that like this energy lives on, that this is what
Hmm.
I can tune into, and it's always going to be constant regardless of what you believe. If you believe in heaven
Absolutely.
or hell or reincarnation, it doesn't matter. Technically your spirit always lives on. So
Hmm.
this is our opportunity to tune in to that in such a real way, and
Yeah,
in a deep way, in a meaningful way. And part of that we can experience is through chiropractic care, because you're actually retuning your body, which is your little antenna system, to reconnect with your spirit, with your energy, and with the energy around you.
absolutely.
So it's like that's optimal expression, is spirit expression, energetic expression, having that not impeded or disconnected in any way, because
Yeah,
that truly, we enjoy our life when we feel connected with
absolutely.
what we're experiencing, who we're with,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, what we're doing. Like that's
Hmm.
really optimal expression. And to be limited in any way, um, whether it's your digestion or your strength or your movement, mobility, right? In all things, or being able to express yourself and communicate or show up in a place and not shut down, like
Yeah,
those are all optimal expressions. So
absolutely.
I think too, I wanted to just wrap. I wanted to ask you like a cool couple questions of
Of course.
like what has been your favorite like chiropractic moment with a client? I know that's
Um,
really hard. Like maybe just like the best story or best experience you've had.
oh, well, I'll say the first one that comes to mind is at somebody's progress exam. So that's like their 12th visit. It could be a month and a half. Um, they are a special ed teacher, and I asked them, how has this changed and how has this impacted and improved your life at this point? And she told me it's made me a better teacher.
Mm.
And I was like, I was like, that's insane, because I'm sure she believed that she was a great teacher before. And it goes back to, expressing and experiencing life with a new awareness, perception of what it is. And just the sheer fact that, she shared that with me, I was like, this is an incredible profession. It's an incredible way to work with people and to connect with people, and see that, it really is impacting people's lives, and helping them to do what they love even more, and to express higher than they probably thought was possible in the first place. Like, did she ever believe maybe that she could be a better teacher? Who
Hmm.
knows? I mean, even physically, she's up and down off the floor better with them. She's more focused. She's got more energy, all those things. And
Hmm.
so that was pretty insane to hear, as a young chiropractor, to really impact someone that way. That was fun to hear.
That's huge
Yeah.
because special ed, whoo,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
takes so much energy. It takes a really special person to
Absolutely.
help people with special needs, because
Hmm.
it requires you being more in tune, more present, having more
Hmm.
energy.
Yeah.
Because they're not all of them. I mean, there's everyone's on spectrum, but
Of course.
gosh, they require way more attention sometimes, and that can
Yeah.
be really taxing when you're in a room full of special
Yes.
needs students. So wow,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
must have been
So
really cool.
that was
Wow.
cool. Yeah, it was
Do
fun.
you have any more?
I have one that was probably about a year ago, but this guy, he's in his 50s, could barely walk, was on a cane, um, and he was heavier, and that was a piece of it. And it was, this lifestyle choices up until that point, but he had a pretty heavy frequency recommendation. And so after, I think, the second check-in, so maybe 20 visits or so, because different lifestyles, different levels of patterns and things like that require more time or less time, or more frequency, less frequency, those things. And him, it was more frequent for him, and he couldn't really put his, like, you walk heel toe, right? He was walking on his toe because he couldn't really walk normally heel toe, and so he was on his toe. And I think after that we checked in and we took another video of how he walked, and one, he wasn't walking with a cane, and he was a happier version of himself. And it was not the same person that had first came in. I think it was maybe at his 6-month check-in too. So like 6 months had gone by of chiropractic care. And I know he hadn't really done much else, but and we both like had like, it was one of those moments where like I almost started crying. He was crying because it like we watched the video together and it was a completely different person that was walking. I mean, just the sheer fact that he didn't have to walk around with a cane, and he actually worked in the prisons and like had to move around and things like that. And so he was much more mobile, much more capable human being. And the sheer fact that like we both had that really emotional like moment, that really stuck out to me too. But
That's huge to be able to
huge.
walk.
Just
Walking
more
is
normal.
everything.
I know, like to be more mobile of just, and not have to rely on other things. Yeah,
Huge.
yeah. And I
That's
think that the
amazing.
fact of women, regaining their menstrual cycle and becoming more normal, I think that's pretty
That's
gnarly too.
massive. That's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the ability to create life.
yeah,
So
and
way to go,
yeah.
Dr. Seth.
Well, it's not me. It's not me. It's just that's the facilitation of what chiropractic delivered at the right time in the right place and with the right intention. That's what can happen. You
Yeah.
know.
But I have to say, and I'm going to make you blush because but it takes like a specific type of chiropractor, to like to be able
Yeah.
to deliver and facilitate that because not all chiropractors are the same. And I've maybe
No.
seen like 5 in my life and just in the last maybe 10ish years,
Yeah.
and not that I really feel none of them really compare to the source Chiro
Right.
in Denver. I haven't gone to any of the other locations, but I know you guys are
Yeah.
all trained by the same method and stuff. And
Yeah.
so any of the source offices, which I think there's 5 right now, and you guys are
Yes.
always expanding.
Yeah.
Um, but like not all chiropractors are the same. So finding, like you said, finding the right one is huge. And so
Mhm.
don't give up. Like if you find like you're not really hitting it, maybe look up. I think KTC has like a directory, I believe, of
Yeah. I think
chiropractors.
you can look it up. Kairos training culture, I think on Facebook is an open public
Ah,
Facebook group that you can go on there and ask, where you're from. Do you have recommendations? Because they're
yes.
not all, everybody, there's amazing chiropractors outside of the KTC realm as well that we
Yes.
all know and can recommend to people all over the
Yeah.
place. And
Yeah.
and I'll touch on that as well as, there's a piece to chiropractic that everyone talks about is that something extra. And I know Dr. Darren brings it up, but it's the story of how do two chiropractors delivering the same adjustment to the same place experience different results. It's
Mm-hmm.
their intention, and it's that's what's behind, and that's what you need to find in a chiropractor is what's their intention. Is it an outside force going into someone's system that's less honoring to the system and coming from a place of I want to make this move in you, or is it me waiting for your body to allow the adjustment to be received by that person? And so the intention of love, first of all, connection over correction, that's a big piece of what KTC is all about, where you're
Mm-hmm.
connecting with the person, listening, because that's a big thing that I feel that is lacking within the chiropractic profession as a whole is we don't always listen to people. We think we know, but we don't always. Right. And so you're listening to the yeses and nos in someone else's system and having the intention of I'm helping this person experience more health, expression, ease, peace, all of those things. And I
Yes.
think that's the something extra. And I think that's what's unique and special about myself as a chiropractor, but the people that I have surrounded with myself with over the last couple of years and will continue to surround myself with, because that is the essence of chiropractic. And I think that was what it was founded on. And I believe firmly in the principle of chiropractic that's where it all came from and stemmed from that, and being present with somebody. Like if, you know,
Yep.
that's a huge piece too. But
Intention and connection over
mhm,
correction.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
huge.
yeah,
I feel like that just really flows perfectly into life. Like if we really have an intention that is aligned with what we're connecting with, I think that's huge. So
absolutely.
that's huge. Wow, so cool. So where can people find you on Instagram?
So my Instagram is just Dr. Seth Storment. And yeah, I'm becoming more active on there of posting, cool videos and me adjusting and different tidbits and things. So
Yeah, it's
So
really cool. And I saw yesterday, over the weekend too, I think, right, that you were doing mountain biking, or was it just a couple days ago?
it was last
Okay.
week. It's a cool series out at the local trails that I ride at a lot. That's just kind of they're doing the Wednesday night races for the next couple weeks. So
So
yeah,
cool.
yes.
So cool.
So if I'm
Yes.
not in the office, I'm usually riding mountain bikes or doing something like that.
Doing
So
something outdoors. I saw
yes,
also in your bio on the website that it said you also love like anything off-roading.
yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much off the
Yes,
trail.
absolutely. That's
So
me.
cool. Dr.
Yeah.
Seth, thank you so much for your time. This has been so cool and so good to talk about optimal life expression and connection and intention and what it is. And so thank you for sharing your journey and sharing your
Mhm.
wisdom with the
Thank you.
Soulish community.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you so much for what you do and you spreading the word about, more natural things and more natural ways of health and healing and just more awareness to what is more. And so I
Mhm.
really appreciate what you do as well. So thank you for the
Thank you.
opportunity to be here and join you in this. And I look forward to doing it more.
Yeah, definitely. So
Perfect.
cool. Dr. Seth,
Yes.
thank you so much.
Thank you.